Hey, wrestling fans, this is Rick Blade telling you to tune in. BJ, DG, best wrestling talk on YouTube.
And oh,
What?
I don't know. The clip went to go play for our opening, so I'm just going to do this. Hold on.
Hey, wrestling fans, this is Rick Blade telling you to tune in. BJ, DG, best wrestling talk on YouTube.
Welcome back, everybody. BJ here, DG there. I don't know what's happening right now, but let's go.
Neither do I, but on my end, it didn't play. But then I look up at my screen just to see the stream how it was going, and it was playing. So I'm like really confused on my end at the moment. But what is going on, everybody? We are here. Where are you?
Where am I?
I don't know. Where are you?
Back home, fortunately.
But yeah, interesting week in mainstream wrestling. Give me a moment here.
Pulling up the notes.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, we had a Raw after show this week. We already covered some of that, so we could go back over that a little bit real quick. Raw kicks off with Roman and Pierce talking about the whole Jacob ceremony, acknowledgement ceremony, which seems like the thread through the show was, this is not a good idea, Roman. Definitely not your best idea you've had in 6.5 years.
Hey, Tara.
Well, that's really sweet of you, bud. Shut up, Tara! Yes, staying cool. And it's only going to get warmer the next couple days where we are.
Yeah, you know what? That reminds me, I should open my window.
But yeah, that was kind of the running thread through Raw.
And bring my fan over. I wasn't feeling the heat until Tara said something.
Way to be, Tara. Way to be.
All right, that should be good. That should be good. All right.
But yeah, after that, we have Division come out. They cut their Steven Chambers in the chat. How you doing? Vision comes out, cuts their promo. You know, which eventually leads to the tag team champions talking, bringing out the Street Profits. Joe Hendry during no, that wasn't during the commercial break. He comes out. We come back from commercial, and we have a 6-man tag underway. Not a bad match to open up the show. I just wish the main roster would take notes from NXT, because NXT this week started straight from the rip with a I think it was a one-on-one match. Oh no, it was a tag team match they kicked, but they straight kicked off the show with a match. I wish we would see that on the main roster more often and change it up some.
Yeah, it's more so. It's probably a TKO initiative to, like, you know, have the shows booked a certain way. But TKO, I don't really think cares about NXT too much.
But for how long now have I been saying that the shows feel too cookie cutter? That it's the same thing every week.
Yeah.
You know, as in the way. Oh, it's almost now for the last couple of weeks, almost been the exact same thing we've been seeing. Like, it would be nice, like, hey, something happened before the show started. They start Raw, show a clip of something that happened, and then go straight into a match that delayed whatever was supposed to happen. You know, something like that. You could do any reason and explain it on screen because fans. And I just don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, well, fans are used to this. No, you put something new in front of the fans, just even for 1 week or something, the fans are going to be like, okay, cool. I dig this, and I think that's what it is. because SmackDown's the same way.
Right. Um, yeah, and I think back to some of my favorite like shows as a whole in my years of watching wrestling were the episodes that either started out with something weird and you didn't really know what was going to happen, or episodes that started out with like brawling. Either it starts backstage and makes its way out to the ring, or one of my all-time favorite entrances to a show when Anthem, I think it was when Anthem took over TNA, that first episode just pretty much started with just all out, the whole roster out brawling. And it was a great way to like bring the energy and start the show, not like, so I won last week, for half an hour.
For me, I would even go as far as how sometimes they show the people walking through Gorilla and going out to go through the entrance. I would go as far as to be doing something like that, and somebody's coming out for their promo to start the show, and they get attacked, but they're in their gear, so just lead straight into you have Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis come out instantly into a match, because both these shows kind of did the same thing. The Vision came out after the whole Roman Reigns. That's the only difference. We started with a backstage segment this week, but when we got to the ring, it was the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So we had one promo segment go into the next promo segment, and then that led directly into the next match. SmackDown started the exact same way with Trick Williams coming out, talking about everything going on, and then The Miz comes out, interrupts, and we go straight into a match. It seems like they're just consistently mirroring each other instead of like, hey, we're doing Raw like this because it's on Netflix. This is on regular TV. Maybe we should be occasionally having something happen to kick off with a match. Is there something scratching and trying to get through your walls? Because I can hear that.
Not anymore. No, that was a vehicle outside.
Did you trap Sam Reaper in a cage or something?
Not this week.
Poor Sammy. We'll talk more about that on Tuesday. Poor Sammy. And he brought it on himself.
Yep.
But anyway, back to Street Profits. Joe Hendry pick up the win over the Vision, thanks to a Seth Rollins attack on Braun Breaker, which set up the distraction. And we had a little bit of an interesting moment there with Seth Rollins helping Dawkins up. But then, as we talked about, it could be taken two different ways. We talked about it on the after show. Was it more Seth just sidestepping, how you perceived it? Or was it how I saw his hand behind Dawkins moving him into the spear even more as a shield? Oh, I didn't even do that on purpose. Because I think either way, like even if it's not the case, the appearance of it really does play decently into that storyline as well. Like, hey, well, why does it look like you did that? Why does it look like you put Dawkins in the way where you could have pushed him out of the way? Instead, you kind of made sure he was in line to take that spear. Oh, yeah. I meant to say this at the top of the show. Congratulations to EO and Evil / Naruko. I'll get it eventually. That I did not know they were a real life couple, but I think they kind of kept it really well on the DL, and then they just got married. So Evil will be on Monday Night Raw in the next 6 months.
They were like, to EO, they're probably like, yeah, we can bring your fiance over, but we're going to can Kyrie. She's like, all right, whatever.
Wow. Well, other interesting news real quick, bringing up Kyrie, was apparently part of the whole Asuka thing is she had family issues to also deal with to go back home. But that WWE management is looking at the moment as a semi-retirement. So that it's
I've
still
heard that anyway.
It's still a wait and see, but I've seen a couple different articles that have had pretty much the same wording and with the mentioning of a semi-retirement and WWE management at the moment. But unless you really work in line with WWE or TKO in that part of their company, nobody really knows what's going on. It's on us to speculate, and that's kind of our job. So we're covering both ends of the spectrum here.
Like I've been saying, nothing about it feels like a retirement.
Like, it doesn't to me, it doesn't feel full blown, but it does feel like her finally saying, like, hey, I think I want to take a step back now. And if she's going to take a step back and appear occasionally, like, we both agree that when she returns, it'll probably be on SmackDown. Because unless she comes back to make the save for EO at some point, and whatever storyline could be happening at that point.
I don't necessarily think she would have to be tied in with EO. It could be
No,
on
no,
either.
but I'm just looking at the last thing people would remember would be them hugging it out in the ring, and then Monday Night Raw, Asuka literally referencing passing the torch to her, and that's what she was looking for, and that it's her road to drive down now. If it comes down to it, that's one direction I could see going. I just don't see much in the way of SmackDown or Raw. I don't really see much for Asuka to do at the moment.
Well, yeah, and that's another part of it. Like they haven't really, aside from the thing with Kyrie and Io, like she hasn't really been booked the strongest. Just what, a couple of like tag team title wins. Like she's really fallen off, and she's fallen down in the pecking order a little bit, just like Becky. A lot of newer talent have climbed the ranks pretty fast, and people at the top just kind of have to know their role.
I mean, I don't mind the idea because all you have to do is give Asuka a string of a couple really strong wins.
Oh yeah,
and then a video package reminding people of what Asuka's capable of. And yeah, like Steven Chambers said in the chat, her contract as long as she's not released, does it end for another couple years. And she signed that a couple years ago. Steven Chambers says in 24. So there's still plenty of time there. But I think there's a lot Asuka can do even behind the scenes, as in going down to the Performance Center and helping the next generation down there, especially with the flux of international talent coming in. And she's somebody who did make it, but then, as you said, the influx of current talent now. And it's a credit to NXT and that them being acknowledged as an actual brand somewhat now, even though it is still developmental. It's the final stage of developmental now. If you're in NXT, they're looking at you that you could be on the main roster. As somebody who might only make it to Evolve and in the WWE ID program. That's kind of become the stepping stone now. Like, you get through that, you want to get to Evolve. You want, whether people are watching it or not, you want people to be able to have those clips to see. There aren't a lot. There's just not a lot that draws me to it. For whatever reason, most of it could be just because I don't have time to watch it. I've heard good things about it. It's like watching LFG. Like, they keep changing the formula every year. So why am I going to watch something if you can't even stick to your own formula? I love the season 1 formula. Like, I thought it was the perfect way to mix something like Tough Enough and something like The Voice. Especially The Voice that's mainstream. Like, you use that concept and then you went away from it. Like, is it because now you have to use NXT talent? So you can't dangle a contract in front of them. Like, oh, hey, you get this contract.
What is it this year?
A lot of the NXT talent. So I'm not really sure how it's going because they have Nakia Lyons as part of it. The coaches have changed every year, which is fine. I don't mind a rotate. Outside, I think Bully and Booker T are the only two. Undertaker was there for 2 seasons left. Michelle McCool was there for last season. It's just a lot of rotating stuff. It's like, if you can't stick to your formula, just ditch the show. reformat it, bring it back in a couple years. Like,
Well,
like
NXT started as a game show.
yeah, I was just about to say that NXT was a that gave us the first iteration of NXT and the birth of the Nexus. Great storyline, which, depending on who you ask at any given time, I think it was a CVV interview with David Otunga, who says he can't prove it, but he's pretty sure because the call going into that match, SummerSlam 2010 or 2016. 2010. I'm sorry, 2010, SummerSlam 10. The call going into the match all the way up to a couple hours beforehand was the Nexus going over in that match.
Right.
And then
Cena was like, I didn't have it up already. Yeah, and then Cena was all like,
doesn't work for me, brother.
I mean, that's the nature of the business. Because, in the moment, it might have felt like the right call. Now we're talking 16 years later, going back and looking, Some of us who were around for it, even then, were like, Nexus should have gone over. Even without Nexus going over, Wade Barrett still should have been WWE champion at some point. Like, that would have been to solidify that group. Which was a complete group of great people, who we saw go on, have decent careers, whether inside or outside the WWE, or transition to other things like a Titus O'Neil's an ambassador for WWE. We've seen it transition to other things, or a lot of those guys just left. Heath Slater's still going. Bryan Danielson's still going. If anybody remembers the Nexus Invasion angle, he was fired the next day for choking Justin Roberts out with his tie after he was told, go do whatever you want. So, let's see. Yeah, I know she's been doing some PC work. Come on down. You're the next contestant to get released. Best of luck in all your future endeavors. Sometimes, so in response to that comment by Stephen Chambers, sometimes it's not the idea of talent. Sometimes it's the idea that your roster's so bolstered and there's not a spot for them. So, like, hey, we'll pay you for the next 90 days to sit home during your non-compete and then go do your thing. We'll be watching. And we can name a couple people that was probably the case. Drew McIntyre being one of them. Hey, go out and rebuild yourself. And when the time's right, we'll bring you back. Cody Rhodes, go out and build yourself. Work on your game. When it's time, we'll bring you back. So it kind of just comes out to the idea sometimes. Just imagine if all this information was getting out the same way during the Attitude Era, right? Like, and we knew all this. And when you look at somebody like Jeff Jarrett, that every 2 years he was jumping from show to show, until he went to WCW during the last run for WCW. It's where we just saw people constantly jumping, and it's just like, oh, okay, they're there now. Cool. It's not that, oh, that was stupid of them to do. And especially during the Attitude Era, you had one show, Monday Night Raw, until you got halfway through it, and then we got SmackDown. And even then, we were seeing the exact same stuff on both shows. Huh?
With the fist.
Oh, I missed. No, was it the original stage was the Ovaltron.
That's right. The fist was like 2001, 2002.
Yeah, that was the brand split. That was when the brand split happened. A little bit before that, like they were already using it, but that's how was because that made them different. Just like I always liked the WCW Thunder set, like it was the top of a building with like the smokestacks and the air vents and everything. But yeah, back to running down Raw real quick. We have a backstage segment with the OG Grande group, which Judgment Day becomes, Liv Morgan and Dirty Dom become a part of. And Dom, talking about title matches, talked himself into defending his AAA Mega Championship against OG Grande, which made history as this is the first time the AAA Mega Championship was ever defended on Monday Night Raw, and also made history as being the only championship to ever be defended in AEW and the WWE.
Yeah.
On the main shows, not counting AAA, because obviously that's that. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's Raquel out of that group that turns. I think it's
one of them would work.
I think it's going to be Raquel though. And maybe you get that moment of her trying to get Roxanne to come with her so that they can stay a tag team. You know, as of like, look, you saw what we did when Liv was out, and you saw what I was able to do with her. You're better than her. Come with me. Let's go run this division and eventually win singles gold as well. Wouldn't mind seeing a 2-woman power trip type storyline. But there would have to be a lot of moving parts to get that to happen. Because it seems like if anything, the one thing I give WWE credit for within the brand split mentality is we don't see other shows' titles. Like, we don't see Raw titles being defended on SmackDown. We don't see the SmackDown titles being defended on Raw. The only title we really see jump is the Tag Team Championship because there's only one set.
The women's tag, right?
Yeah. There's only one women's tag team champion, which I wish they would give NXT back the women's tag team titles. Because it would make sense to build up women's tag teams down there, because now when they debut on the main roster, they're not just being thrown together.
Right.
You know, we could have looked at something like Fatal Influence having those titles. And now you're looking at, well, they were former NXT women's tag team champions. To where the only person in that group that can say that's JC Jane.
Right, yeah.
Because her and Gigi Dolan were the tag team champions when Mandy Rose was NXT champion.
Yeah, and then her and who's her partner for?
For what? Who's
she won it more recently when she won the tag team?
Who?
JC Jane's partner.
She
won them with
Fallon,
right?
Yeah, Gigi Dolan.
Oh no, but I'm saying more recently.
No, she hasn't. No, she's been NXT
okay.
champion and TNA Women's Knockouts champion.
That's what I'm thinking. She was women's champion. Yeah, that's why I'm picturing her with a belt. Yeah, never mind.
No, I think they did get a shot at the Knockouts tag team titles, though, but there was some chicanery.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. After that, we do have Los Garza appear during that segment, which comes back around later. We have a promo segment in the ring with Penta, our Intercontinental Champion, which brings out Ethan Page. And we're going to have Ethan Page getting a shot at that Intercontinental Championship against Penta at Saturday night's main event, which I think is next weekend. And then the following weekend is Clash in Italy. Too many, WWE's just squeezing these shows in.
Mm-hmm.
Can we guess? Can we breathe a little bit? Can I soak in what's at least I gotta get AEW might be fast paced at times. I gotta give them credit though recently, because a lot of their storyline stuff they've been giving time to actually build.
Yeah. Their storytelling has gotten a lot better recently.
Like, I don't want to say WWE's ignoring the outside world again, but it almost seems like it.
Yeah. They're just listening to AI now.
But yeah, during that, we get Rusev coming out talking about wanting a title shot, which brings out Javon Evans. And then we jump into going to commercial break after that, jump into a Javon Evans and Rusev match. Very fun match. Javon Evans picks up the win. Poor Rusev can't get any momentum going either way. I'm hoping it somehow shifts around to eventually this becoming a fatal 4-way at some point.
Yeah, because I definitely see Penta holding on to it after main event.
I don't know. I could see Ethan Page getting that title. I wouldn't be against it. He's a veteran. He can carry that division.
No, he's been everywhere.
Yeah. And on top of that, I think with the release of the New Day, it wouldn't hurt to do something along the lines and start working toward putting the Lucha Brothers together now. Losing the New Day really does put a dent into that tag team division that could be filled by them. Also, the loss of the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah, but they hadn't even really been using New Day. You know, like, I mean, I know Xavier was hurt and everything, but even before that, like, they just had the whole thing with Grayson Waller, which was more so just Grayson wrestling.
I mean, I did Motor City Machine Guns. They were working toward a story, it seemed like, with something with Johnny Gargano, and that just went away. So, yeah, we already kind of talked about the whole Io and Asuka thing. I brought that up earlier. Them showing Asuka leaving with her bags. So, you know, I think it'll be a little bit, maybe sometime. I would hope maybe after SummerSlam that if she's going to come back, that seems like a good time. Let these stories play out instead of just inserting her into something. I wouldn't mind, though, if she were to return to Raw, her and Becky Lynch feud.
I would love to see her just come back and just be just a vicious heel, just attacking everybody.
I wouldn't even have it as a heel or face. Her just coming back like that one last run type vengeance and just starting going through the roster. You know, maybe we get the start of somewhat of a return streak. You know, oh, we get to the Royal Rumble. Asuka's 26-0 since coming back. She's decimated everybody in front of her. Now she's going into the Rumble. You know, at this point, I really don't know with Gargano, because whatever this thing is that they're doing with him, for whatever reason, I'm actually enjoying it. And there was something different this week. So they had Sami Zayn talking to him this week after something that happened on SmackDown, because Sammy's just, you know, demanding those rematches for the U.S. title. And Aldis said, no, now you have to earn it. You got your rematch and you failed. And after that, he got called entitled and everything. And we get a segment backstage. You can see he's talking to somebody. Camera finally pans out, and it's Johnny Gargano comatose planking. And he's just sitting there talking to him. Candice LeRae comes into the scene. It's like, it'd be nice to have a husband that would do something, you know, instead of me having to do. And she's just walking by. Sammy, frustrated, gets up and leaves, but something you don't usually see. You saw Johnny actually look up at Sammy walking away. So I'm kind of curious of where this is going to go, because we keep getting glimpses of things. Like he returned to NXT, lost that match, and was just like, okay, we're going back to this. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing them take this and take it to AAA where he snaps out of it. Because I think there's a lot of good people he could work with in AAA. We had a segment with Brie Bella and Paige, our women's tag team champions, coming out to talk about the Judgment Day's challenge. Almost said the New Day. And we get Roxanne and Raquel coming out. Eventually, Elise and Liv Morgan coming out. They beat them down. In all honesty, I kind of hope Roxanne and Raquel do win the tag team titles whenever this match happens. But that for me also all depends on when Nikki can return. Because I kind of want to see the Bellas turn on Paige.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? I wish she was still wrestling too, but she hasn't been featured all that great on the main roster. And after Indy Hartwell being released, it kind of is what it is. Because I thought her and Indy worked really well together.
I mean, she's Candace is also older.
Yeah.
She's been
But
around
she
the Indies forever.
Yeah, and she's also somebody who can help that next generation of women's wrestlers.
Exactly, yeah.
Or even the men wrestler, any of the talents. Backstage segment with Jimmy and Roman, as was the continuing thread. Hey, Roman, this isn't a good idea. You know, the whole acknowledgement ceremony. Where we find out Jay's in the parking lot waiting for Jacob to show up to try to talk him out of this. It's just very interesting to finally see something for once where Roman is having them on equal grounds and they're able to speak their minds, because you don't have that Paul Heyman type person in this group now.
Right.
You know, somebody has to be the mind of, hey, dumbass, not a good idea. Do you not remember what just happened a couple days ago? Did you just get destroyed by him?
See, this is, the difference between what we potentially have now and the bloodline is the brain, the wise man.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, as I've said, if you know anything backstage, I'm still assuming Paul Heyman's fingerprints are all this, because this whole thing was one of those things. This is a Paul Heyman story. There's layers to this. And that's how you know. I would say the same thing to a point where a lot of the stories Triple H has. He's added layers to stuff. It's just what TKO wants is this more mainstream flying through stuff to where it's like wrestling has to breathe. These storylines have to breathe. They have to build. You know, just like I didn't like the idea on SmackDown this week, Royce Keys being fed to Gunther.
Right.
You know, all right, it plants seeds for something maybe in the future, but you're not going to want to remind people of this because you just had to make it hard for us to get there. Yep, and then we get a whole thing with the Street Profits that we talked about with Seth Rollins. Like, yeah, we kind of saw what you did. Oh, wait, I skipped over something. Io defeating Sol Ruca, which I thought they had a good match. I thought it was a very much heads-up thing to just throw on the brakes. Sol Ruca misses the Soul Snatcher, which you rarely see her miss. You see her, usually other people get thrown in the way. Like we saw that in NXT. Like other people, instead of having her miss the move, she would hit the wrong person. I'm okay with the way it ended. I kind of want to see them run it back because it was just a flash in the pan, heads up moment. She misses it. Roll up, 1, 2, 3. Hey. Quick ending. It didn't make Sol Ruca look weak. It made her look like a rookie that she went for her finish too soon.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just didn't sit right, you know.
I think more what did sit right for you was the way she landed, because they knew they were going into the shoulder sliding. So kind of more it should have been her taking the full bump, missing it, coming out of the flip, because it looked like she more landed on her butt than her taking the back bump and then her going to sit up and then roll the shoulders up. Like she's reacting to missing and simultaneously getting that shoulder slide for the 1, 2, 3 with the air knocked out of her. Like, I get what they went for. Could it have been done better? Yeah. But I kind of might have to agree. That might have been the match of the night on Raw with Steven Chambers here.
Yeah, I'll agree, despite them burying the Soul Snatcher.
I think it was more she went for it too early against a former world champion, former women's champion, former tag team champion, former NXT, somebody who's practically done it all in WWE at this point. You know, like it's the veteran to the rookie. That's just how I look at it. We actually talked about this on our show as well because I didn't catch it. I've seen the replay since then and saw it, but yeah, that's been something going on with Maxine and Austin Theory. Things been happening 6 weeks now. I want to say since the week before Mania. We've seen it. Go back. There's a meme out there or something. If you just go look it up, of a compilation of all these moments where there's like a backstage interview happening and Maxine's sitting on the hallway floor, and all of a sudden you see Austin Theory come up and they're talking. There was one where they came out walking out of the Vision locker room together. So there's been several just if you blink and you miss it moments. A lot like some of the early Wyatt 6 stuff. You blink and you miss it type stuff. Like, and this is where it confuses me with WWE storytelling. For those eagle-eyed fans that catch the majority of this stuff, we're like, oh, cool, we're building this up until it gets on TV, we see that. But you can't do long-term storytelling with other things. Ever since the lead up to Mania, to where all of a sudden we had barely any matches, and then we had 2 full cards all of a sudden in the last like 2 weeks build up, to where I remember back in the day, we'd have a full WrestleMania lineup a month ahead of time almost, outside of maybe 2 to 4 matches, which, you know, you got to get there sometimes. And maybe the last 2 matches were on the go home shows set up, you know, like, oh, we need a filler for this. We need to throw another match on this card. And then still, we might get a surprise match. Yeah, and then we also have a backstage segment with Sol Ruka and Io, kind of a show of respect between them. I kind of hope that there's a run back of this match, you know, but then you have the Women's Intercontinental Champion, the man, Becky Lynch, walking by like, ha ha ha, you lost to Io Giannetti. So we definitely know where this whole Sol Ruka thing's going, you know. And if you're going to have her take the losses to some of the veterans now, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, get it out of the way. Make her look like fallible.
Make her not just look fallible, but look like, oh, she's right there. You know, she's just out in the ring with better talent.
Right.
With more experience.
I get that, but it doesn't always work. Yeah, there's a chance of inadvertently burying them if you do it that way.
I don't think we're at that stage yet.
No. She's still over like that. But I mean, you know, if this continues, I could see that happening.
Yeah. Hopefully not. After that, we have the Oba Femi Open Challenge. And this was an interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen an Open Challenge go this route.
Yeah, this isn't how Open Challenges work, but
hey, I'll take it because it was entertaining. We have Oba come out. He calls out whoever's going to come out. Well, we get Adam Pearce coming out, not answering the Open Challenge, but telling Oba that after what he did to Otis last week, nobody wants to face him. Really? Nobody wanted to face him after what he did to Otis. What about him just eating an F5 for Brock Lesnar and conquering the Beast?
No, that's fine, but man, he beat up Otis like that.
Nothing against Otis. I like Otis. I enjoy him. But if I'm going to look at who's more dangerous between Otis and the Beast Brock Lesnar, you know, I'm going to the man that can legitimately knock you out and not even on accident, just if he wants to go into business for himself. Which I always loved the Paul Heyman thing where a fan asked him at one of those like interview type things in front of a bunch of fans. and somebody asked him about the streak, and he tells the story like, "No, I'm not saying this is the case, but what if Brock Lesnar went into business for himself and ended the streak? Or you go, you know what? You can't do nothing about it. Once they're in the ring, you can't do nothing about it. In due time, in due. Now, I think the open challenge is a good way to return Bronson Reed. If it's still going at that point, I think it's a good way to return him. I also think it's a good way to debut somebody, even if it's somebody you don't need to have a win right away, but they need to look strong. Kind of like how Oba's first main roster match was against Cody Rhodes at Saturday Night Main Event on Cena's last show. You know, as a wrestler. As a wrestler, because I have to say that, you know, because Cena wasn't supposed to be around. I wonder if Cena's going to be at Saturday Night's Main Event. I wonder if he's going to, some reason, be at Clash in Italy. You know, what big announcement.
As long as they can sell a couple more tickets by announcing his name.
I don't think Italy, they have that problem.
Yeah, I agree.
In all honesty, overseas shows tend not to have that problem.
But yeah, so Oba, no one comes out. Oba heads to the back.
Goes now. Remember how I said earlier the whole Los Garza appearing would come back around? Well, Oba walks through Gorilla, goes through right, and there's a little section right before going into Gorilla. There's Angel and Berto just sitting there chilling. Well, they're not chilling no more. One of them says something to Oba, and he brings them out to the ring. There's a referee in the ring already. The referee rings the bell. Well, we get a 2-on-1 open challenge that did not last long. If I didn't know better, I'd almost want to say they were going to get released this week.
They announced after the match on X, they said their goodbyes.
But I haven't seen anything about them being released.
No, but they said their goodbyes. You might not hear it announced for like another couple of weeks, but like, yeah, they're done.
Well, I've also saw something as of they could be going to AAA to be a bit of fixtures down there because WWE's plans is they want to bring AAA touring in America. And that's why the Triple Mania, the first night hasn't been announced yet, the September 11th show, is because they want that here in the States. And then the night 2 on the 13th being back in Mexico. So if that's the case, they might try holding on to names fans already know. And they would be 2 fans already know. So that could be more. They could be going to AAA.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, 100%, I think they're done with WWE.
I mean, that also wouldn't surprise me. It just would surprise me more that they weren't a part of the cuts that were made.
Oh, well, there's more coming.
They cut any more people, there's not going to be much of a roster left.
All my sources are saying there's more coming.
I would
Hear
hope
about Angel and Garza officially in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. And probably a handful of other names.
Yeah, so Obafemi wins that open challenge. I'm really curious if there's something in the plans for something like this to keep happening until something big's going to happen. Who knows?
Yeah, right? Where's CM Punk?
Well, CM Punk was at the Ronda Rousey fight last night.
Of course.
They interviewed him.
Worst UFC fighter in history.
Boy, that was a waste of my time to watch. Outside, 4 fights didn't make it out of the first round. The one fight that did was stopped by the referee after the second round because Nate Diaz got beat up that bad. He was wearing the crimson mask. But that was a good fight. That was the actual main event of the night.
Right.
Rousey and Karina or whatever her name was.
17 seconds.
Well, it was the drizzling shits.
Yeah, 17 seconds.
And they totally predicted it on commentary. They're like, if she goes for the armbar, does she tap right away? No
Yep.
time waste. Whatever. So after the open challenge, we get Dom and JD making their way to the ring for the AAA Mega Championship match, and Finn attacking JD. And again, these videos all week of JD's head just being bashed into that big case that Finn's been putting out has been absolutely glorious. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go on Instagram or whatever and go look at Finn's social media of these videos to songs and just all on beat of JD's head going into that case. Absolutely great. I thought Gina looked super thin for that. So I'm like, the last time I saw her in Mandalorian, she was jacked. But yeah, after that, we get our AAA Mega Championship match. Dirty Dom retains with a little bit of help, though. But, this was all to set up Grande versus Grande, which I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But again, history made with that match. I'm all for history being made. And now something that was brought up earlier. We get a backstage interview with our World Tag Team Champions, Austin Theory and Logan Paul, which then we see Maxine sitting in the SUV waiting to leave. So do we see maybe Maxine joining the Vision?
It's a possibility. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for the Vision.
I feel like Becky Lynch would make more sense. But if you're going to try...
Well, they already kicked her out.
Well, no, she was never really in the Vision as a member.
Was technically for like a couple weeks.
She's just Seth Rollins' wife or husband. So if she's the man,
considered a member.
I mean, I would consider her like an outside member, but just like an unofficial member, because she's just never been declared a member of the group. She just had the moments where she was tag teaming with Seth. But now it wouldn't make no sense for Becky Lynch because Seth's no longer a part of the group. Somebody like Maxine, if you're going to try to elevate her. But then again, I feel like she's not ready for that unless you're going to do something and give her a mean streak as a heel.
I mean, I'm not sold on the idea. Yeah.
Like if I'm looking at the roster, somebody just across all the shows I would put in that group, my first one would be Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
Jordan Grace would be at the top of my list.
It would make sense for her to be a Paul Heyman guy, but not like part of that group.
But I'm just saying, if you're looking at putting somebody like a female into the group, I feel like Jordan Grace would be the way to go. But she's on SmackDown right now. So if I'm looking at Raw, there's just not a lot of people on Raw I would feel like needs to be placed in that group.
I mean, Ivy Nile would make more sense.
Oh, okay. No, yes. Ivy Nile, yeah.
He'd be a more convincing, like, mean streak heel than Maxine.
I mean, both names we just mentioned would be more convincing than Maxine.
Yeah, like, I don't know how they're going to make that work.
Maybe one other person, if she wasn't on SmackDown, a Jade Cargo.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just thinking of people that Heyman has managed. They've always been powerful in the ring. They're a presence, so you're looking at like the Brock Lesnar's, the Roman Reigns, even right. Curtis, by appearance, yes, Curtis Axel. I thought he was a great choice to be a Heyman guy with his legacy. Yeah. Which a couple of his names on this list, like Roman, didn't need Heyman, but God did Heyman help get him to the point he needed to be at. CM Punk never needed Heyman. Neither did Seth Rollins.
Oh, I don't think the bloodline works without Heyman.
You know, as if we're looking at the original bloodline, yes. If I'm
That's what
looking
he's
at,
talking about.
all right, no, I no,
Yeah, I'm about it.
I say no because I don't see them ever making Bianca a heel. You know, I have one, Lyra.
No.
I I think Lyra would be.
Woo. Yeah, Natalia would work, but
Natalia doesn't need it. Natty
yeah.
doesn't need. Natty's just a presence of her own, and she knows how to make herself be a presence. But God, that would be interesting. Heyman managing a Hart Legacy. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, and then let's get to the end of Raw real quick because our conversations just keep diverging into other things. Just to make this quick, Roman comes out for the acknowledgement ceremony. Jacob Fatu's just arriving as he's in the ring. You get Jay trying to talk to Jacob. He takes out Jay. Jacob comes through the curtain on his way to the ring. Jimmy comes out, gets taken out. And Fatu with some choice words, you're going to have to make me acknowledge you. And these two just start brawling. This whole thing ends with after we get the credits popping up with him just doing a cannonball and putting the family entirely through the timekeeper's barricade and Raw going off the air. This is not over.
Top there. Hey, what's up, Alex?
How you doing, brother? Cheers. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah. When we're talking, I thought this would be a case of one off and they're moving on. But if they're going to let us have, because now Gunther's out of the equation, right? He's on SmackDown. He's out of the equation. That only leaves Oba at this point. Maybe Seth somewhere down the road, Braun Breaker. They'll all get there and chase him. But right now, you kind of got to get Braun Breaker past Seth. You got to you're building Oba right now, which I'm glad they're not rushing him into the title picture. Not that I think he would sink, but I don't want him to get that Randy Orton thing where they thought he was ready and he wasn't.
Right.
Even though to this day I'll say I think he was ready, just that everything just didn't come together of what they had working around him. But do we see a Roman Jacob rematch at Saturday night's main event or Clash in Italy?
I hope so. Most likely Clash in Italy.
I could see this Saturday night main event to get it out the way because we have two world title programs going. If you're going to do a rematch, and considering the fact that Saturday night main event has only had maybe one or two good shows since returning regularly that have actually been satisfactory shows that fans have enjoyed. It would feel like that Saturday night's main event needs a world championship match. I don't think it does, but at this
main event,
in an arena.
Oh, it's not a parking lot.
Nah, they were going to try the NXT parking lot, but they figured everybody on the show would get injured because that parking lot is super dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of cars slide behind.
Let's see. Oh, so we have some matches, and so we have some matches announced for it. Tag team championship match. Street Profits versus Paul and Theory. 6-woman tag, Rhea, Charlotte, and Alexa taking on Jade, Meechin, and B-Fab. And that's all we got so far. And that will be next Saturday. But it doesn't tell me where in this article. Oh, yeah. And Penta and Ethan Page as well.
I would think Madison Square Garden, but I don't know.
Well, one thing I can do to find out. Let's go act like I'm going to go buy overpriced tickets for this show. Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking, like, is anyone hometown or anything? But I don't know of anyone on the roster who's from Indiana.
Well, damn. God, I remember I could spend that money and get 2 tickets. But the card's shaping up well. I expect maybe one more match to be added to it. 4-match card. Usually it's a 2-hour event, so unless you're going, maybe we have John Cena come out and announce more of the stuff for this John Cena Classic because, again, such a bear. I don't blame them on doing it, but they shouldn't have announced it until they had more information to give us. Because we don't know what it is. Is it the Continental Classic fused together with Taboo Tuesday?
But everything I've heard about it so far, I hate, and I
haven't heard enough to hate it or like it. That's my problem. I'm undecided here.
Everything I've heard so far. Cheers.
Thank you, Alex.
I don't like. I mean, we'll see if it's shaping up to be as bad as it sounds so far, but yeah.
Like, I don't mind new concepts being introduced. It's just when you're going to introduce it, give us the rules behind it of how it's going to work. Like, one thing I'll say for AEW, anytime they introduce a new championship, a new tournament, a new match type, you know what they're giving us right away? How this match is going to work.
Yeah, or
they just
the belt or whatever it is.
Yeah, or they're just like, hey guys, we're going to do this. So you could have had John Cena come out like, hey, we're doing the John Cena Invitational or whatever. More information to come. I can't give all the details of how this is going to work, if it's going to be a tournament or whatever, but the idea of that, it was like they thought they gave us enough, like a worm on a hook going fishing, and you're fishing in a pond with nothing in it because you gave us nothing. And that's my problem just with that announcement in general. You gave me nothing outside of the fact that the fans are going to pick the winner. All right, so R-Truth somehow going to win this match, or Danhausen is somehow, if they're in this, are going to walk out champion. Because we're talking a popularity contest. I kind of have to go buy merch sales at that point. Because that's where that would kind of lead, because the most popular people, what is Cody Rhodes become a double champion? Hey, this guy wasn't even involved in this, but everybody voted for Cody Rhodes. So now I guess Cody Rhodes gets this belt. He didn't, because a loser can win still, which I don't mind that idea. That's one idea I don't mind. It's just, I need more. You didn't give enough information.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's what I said. It just not how they described it. Yeah. Like, I'm not seeing how that's going to be fun for anyone. Like, I don't know. I gotta wait to hear more about this. But
But right now, it's very lackluster. Gotta love it
Yeah.
when the chat cues a video. Gotta love it. And just in case you don't know where you
Hey, I'm Livewire Charlie.
And I'm Dangerous.
And we are Live Danger.
And you're watching
PJ
and DG
Talk Wrestling.
Yeah. As he moves us along. All right, where are we at? Yeah, I didn't catch SmackDown. I didn't hear too much either.
we could do a quick. I can run that down real quick. I had already talked about earlier on comparing the openings of the shows this week. They both opened up with a promo segment that led into a match. This one on SmackDown was Trick Williams opening up the show. Miz interrupts him, trying to get a match. And it was a non-title match. Trick Williams picks up the win over the Miz. Big win for him. I don't care what it comes down to in the end, just looking at it. But if I look in the grand scheme of things, and I would say this for Danhausen as well, but it was a tag team match in the case, is that Trick Williams in a one-on-one match pinned a two-time Grand Slam winner, you know. He pinned a former WrestleMania main eventer. Former Money in the Bank winner. You know, that goes a long way. Even though Obafemi did the same thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, Douglas, we kind of touched on that earlier. It all depends.
Did we, or was that off air?
No, we talked. Well, he is currently one half of the MLW Tag Team Champions with Dijak. It might have been off air. We also, a rumor has it he'll be involved in the Danhausen angle. From what I saw, but you know, plans card always subject to change. If that's, I don't know why you would think that, unless we're bringing back Broke Corbin. Oh my!
Corbin.
Oh no! Here we go. We bring him back as poor and broke Corbin, right? Danhausen curses him, but for some reason the curse makes him rich and wealthy. He doesn't want to be uncursed. Because his life just become bad luck. So he used bad luck to get good luck. I don't know. It's stupid.
WWE to do something like that.
And that's the problem. It's so stupid they would do it. I think they could work well together though. Baron Corbin, he can work with anybody.
Yes. Yeah, like Kurt Angle.
Honestly, no. Do not bring back Dijak to the WWE.
No, they'll just ruin him again. They don't understand him and how to book him.
And Shawn Michaels or Triple H understood how to book him. They had something going with him, and
yeah, it's not his teabag or whatever his name was. Wasn't that his T-bar? T-bar, not teabag. He had like a paper plate for a mask, or am I thinking of I can't even remember what the rest of them are called right now. But, yeah, no, he didn't get booked very well in WWE at all.
I liked him in NXT, and when he went over to when he started his new character, which felt more natural to him in NXT, and then they brought him up, I was like, all right, there's potential in this now. And just nothing ever came of it. And it's a damn shame.
You had him and Keith Lee on the same roster and like didn't really do anything with it. Like heartbreaking.
Yeah, really. And haven't seen Keith. Is he still dealing with health issues or something like that? He's still
That's what I've been hearing. Yeah.
Yes, they are. Let's see. Carmelo Hayes returned this week, had a match with Ricky Saints. Defeat. It was an absolute defeat for Ricky Saints. I'm hoping Melo gets back into chasing for the U.S. title because I want that Melo Trick feud. I just want them together, period. I don't care if it's a feud. I don't care if it's at a tag team somewhere down the line. I think Sami Zayn will somehow get himself involved in that, and somehow a triple threat will happen. And that's a question right now. With everything going on with Sami Zayn, where do you think they're going with him? Because it looks like they want him to be a heel. He doesn't want to be a heel, so he's trying to play it his way. And it just...
Yeah, it's coming off like really awkward.
I'm not minding it. So don't get that wrong. I'm not saying I dislike what they're doing with Sami. Because I like the idea that he's a heel, but only in matches, it seems like. Because when he's not in a match, he's not really a heel. He's just somebody speaking their mind. Like with Cody, stuff like that. And I feel like he's kind of channeling his inner KO, and he just can't get that right point where that Kevin Owens could get. Like last year in the whole Cody and KO feud. KO's right. He's just going about it the wrong way, and he's sabotaging himself. Oh, God. So, it's just one of those really weird moments that when I see him, I see him like he was talking to Johnny Gargano, like I talked about. Everything he's saying, legit gripes. I can't argue with him on that. But then you turn around and you see what he does. Like, as we said, he cost himself that United States Championship by going after Lil Yachty. He did it at WrestleMania, and then he made the same mistake again like a rookie. Like, he allowed himself to get distracted. And on top of that, at the moment, I gotta say, I love everything. Just in contrast of what he's recently done, is everything with Trick Williams. They are presenting Trick Williams the right way, and I can really see him being a mainstay player for the next decade, wherever he is. Whether he stays in WWE, whether he goes to TNA, AEW, wherever. Like, he has star written on him. Just like I would say Jay Cargill has star written on her, but she's just doesn't get it in the ring yet. And I think she's better as a heel anyway. She's not as restricted to doing only babyface things. Jay Cargill is a better heel than face.
Right.
That's like the same thing I would say about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar wasn't a face all that long, but he was just a monster, so it played differently. Like when he's in the ring, yeah, he can go. But then you just don't want to hear Brock Lesnar on the mic, so it kills anything babyface-wise without him having somebody to speak for him.
I don't know. He got better toward the end.
What I liked when he won Money in the Bank and he was doing the whole boot and he was having fun. That was fun. When Paul Heyman left him and Brock was feuding with Roman. That was one of the first times that you would hear the words come out my mouth. Did Brock Lesnar just cut a good promo? Or did somebody spike my water? Because I could have sworn Brock Lesnar just cut a great promo. Trick Mello SummerSlam, that's a money match. That's a money match. I would hope one day to see them for a world championship, but I don't ever see a Melo because of his size, WWE giving him that opportunity to where if it were to happen, as has been traditional in WWE, the world championship usually the smaller guys compete for. As the company championship, the WWE championship, you get the bigger guys consistently competing for more. It just seems that's how they have those divisions or groupings together. It's something I've always seen as a trend, especially with the original World Heavy with Big Gold. Especially with Big Gold. And you know what? I saw real quick about Roman. I saw somebody post something online that I thought would be really cool. And I kind of would be behind it, is Roman looking at that championship that was made for him. And temporarily they discard the new version of the belt and bring back Big Gold for him. Because he's like, this belt's just too small for me. I need something that has history to it. You know, and bring back Big Gold just for his reign as champion.
I mean,
Because
they should bring back the big gold belt anyway. Thing was amazing.
It was, but it's time. It ran. Let's see. Other things from SmackDown. We had a Rey Fenix appearance with all this. We had a backstage interview with the women's tag team champions before their match, defeating Julia and Kiana James, which looks like that pairing's going to break up soon.
Right.
They're starting to argue a bit. We have Chelsea Green trying to tag with women's U.S. champion Tiffany Stratton, which, by the way, props to Chelsea Green, who just had some type of heart procedure and is back on TV already.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Just wow. We had the Cody Rhodes segment where he came out for the contract signing with Gunther, and then Gunther overplayed his cards. Royce Keys comes out, tries to sign the contract, which brings out Nick Aldis, and he books a number one contenders match for the main event. We get a backstage segment with MFT where they're talking to Tama, who has a match later on with Damian Priest. And Tala and Solo leave. Nakamura appears and Tala takes out Nakamura.
You had mentioned Chelsea Green, and I saw an article that Piper Niven just had a procedure done. I don't know what the procedure was. They didn't say in the article, but they said the name of the procedure, but I didn't Google it. But that's out there. And I'm sure that explains her absence. And you know why she was, it's potentially a career-ending thing, but she just had a procedure. That's all I know.
As I said earlier, Carmelo Hayes defeated Ricky Saints. They had a really good match. I enjoyed their match this week. We have a couple backstage segments after that. One with Royce Keys and R-Truth. R-Truth just thanking him for coming out and helping last week. And then he says, well, we're reforming the Judgment Day, like a new version of Judgment Day. He kind of makes a reference to the old LOD 2000 thing. He's like, we're building a new clubhouse and everything. You should put in an application. He's like, really? You're talking about building a clubhouse? Do you think I'm out here stealing cardboard boxes on my day off, making a reference to the movie Friday? And that popped me. Oh, I was dying laughing. I love little stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about that segment. We had oh wait, I skipped. We had a segment with Danhausen. Still has the clone thing behind him. Not sure what they're doing with him at the moment. But you know, I enjoy a little bit of entertainment of things I don't need to take serious, and I can just shut my brain off and just be like, hey, I enjoy this. It wasn't much this week of anything. It was more of to make sure he had a segment on TV, I felt like. Right. But he's doing something. He talked to somebody on the phone. He's like, yeah, the cloning The whole cloning thing worked. Yeah. Oh yeah, and never call me again. It just hangs up the phone, and it's one of those old ones where you pick up in the thing and you go like this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I enjoy a lot of the old references they do with him and stuff. It's for me, somebody we're close to the same age, so we remember seeing the Three Stooges in replay by the time we were kids,
Oh, sure.
and a lot of the slapstick and old stuff like that. It brings me back to happy times of just these simple little things that just make me smile, make me laugh, and I'll take it. I can't wait to see what they do next with him. I'm kind of hoping the whole thing with Miz and Kit Wilson with Trick Williams is kind of leading into a feud with them. Because I think now it's time to rebuild Kit Wilson after the Jelly Roll debacle.
Yeah.
Good. I think this whole Danhausen thing has been a good start, but now you need to really do something with him. After that, we get Damian Priest defeating Tama Tonga. After the match, Tala and Solo attack Priest as MFTs are pursuing tag team gold. I'm just hoping that this isn't the end of the MFTs, but I have a feeling at some point we're going to see some fusion of something.
Well, there are too many of them left.
Well, we have I think their next immediate direction is going to be a feud with Royce Keys and probably Shinsuke. I can see that. I talked about the Sami Zayn, Johnny Gargano thing. Jay Cargill comes out with Meechin and BFAB talking about, just put yourself up. Oh, why does everybody seem like they got heart when I'm not here? But then I show up and everybody's quiet. No, because nobody just doesn't like you. There's a difference. Which leads to a match with Meechin and BFAB, which they lose by DQ when Jade interferes in the match and they take out We're Not Friends. In between, I come back from commercial, they showed another Blake Monroe coming soon video package as well. I can't wait for her debut to see what she's going to be doing. I think that I'm going to be honest. I think it's going to be they're holding off for her debut to have a feud with Tiffany. Tiffany Stratton, Blake. Dude, you know what? We get through all that if that's the case. A women's stable of Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, and Blake Monroe. I think that could work as a heel faction.
Yeah.
I think that would be or even I could even see them being baby faces and work as a counter to Fatal Influence. Because we don't see I could see it. That's all I'm saying. Not that it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. And speaking of Fatal Influence, we have a backstage segment with them this week. They didn't wrestle. We get there were a lot of segments and interviews in a row this week. Like going into the main event, number one contenders match. We had an interview with Fatal Influence, a segment with We're Not Friends, where they're like, we need backup. We can't keep doing this, which sets up Rhea teaming with them for Saturday night's main event. We had a segment with Rose Keys and Solo before going into the main event. And then we get the main event, number one contenders match. Winner faces Cody Rhodes at Clash in Italy. Gunther defeating Royce Keys, like I think we talked about it on air. So Solo came out the ringside during the match. Referee takes a very light hit, but it puts him down, like knocks the air out of him a little bit. And Solo slides the chair in and hits Royce Keys in the foot. He picks it up. And Solo's telling him, hit him. And he just does like that Sabu chair spot where he just throws it in the person's face. And Solo takes a shot to the face from the chair when Royce throws it at him. But it sets up big clothesline to the back, which sets up another like clothesline from hell style hit and then the power bomb for Gunther to pick up the win, which I'd rather it have been a sleeper hold than Royce Keys taking the pinfall personally.
Yeah.
Because
You gotta protect him a little.
But even in this case, I feel like because of the distraction, because they always say the hits you don't see coming hurt the worst and do the most damage because you're not ready for it. You're not protecting yourself. So I can buy into it. Afterwards, we have Gunther celebrating, and here comes Cody Rhodes back out, hitting a crossroads on Gunther, and the show going off the air like that. SmackDown, decent show this week. Lot of segments, which I'm going to be honest, I promise and maybe I'll do this, and I'll do it by myself. I'm going to go pick a random old Raw that's on Netflix. And I'll go into the 2000s from like post Attitude Era. And I'm going to take notes, and I just want to see how it compares to now. And even for just a 2-hour show, how many segments to matches there are. And maybe even time the matches bell to bell. Give myself a little idea.
Well, that information's out there. You can look all that up.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to sit there and watch the entire show.
But no, I want to watch the flow of the show because that's
I get
the
that.
way that, there's other things I'm looking for than just what the segments were, the matches and results.
You don't have to actually time it for match times. You can look that up.
Well, WWE does their time. Their segment times are from when the first music hits to the last exit, as compared to just the match time itself. It's all combined into one thing. Outside of match time, like say if you're given 15 minutes, right? That 15 minutes starts when your opponent walks out until the winner walks back.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that they list the match times, like the actual bell-to-bell match times.
I know. What I'll do is do it myself and then look up to see the comparison.
Oh, that makes sense too. But I mean, there's independents, that aren't WWE affiliated that, do that.
I can't stop looking at this comment, Mr. Chambers, and let me tell you, you know what they should do? We should just discard the mask versus mask match in AAA, and we just have El Generico team with the El Grandes and just create the ultimate masked faction. But yeah, overall, BJ muted his mic. We all know what that means. So while he's away, let's play something fun. What do I have here that's fun? And nothing too short. So I will just play this.
It's my heavyweight champion, Big Billy Gold. You're watching BJ and DG talk wrestling, and that's gold. That's Billboard Billy Gold, and this is gold. This is Billboard BJ and DG talks gold.
Well, apparently we are no longer Talk Wrestling. We are Talk Gold. And BJ still hasn't returned. When will BJ return? I don't know. But yeah, and the best show WWE put out this week, I will say, was NXT. And NXT was good this week. Show kicks off Tatum Paxley and Lizzie Rain defeating the Kia Lions and Zarya. Which Tatum Paxley also grants Lizzie Rain women's North American Championship match for next week.
Yeah.
We got
Lizzie Rain's energy is just amazing. And I love the pairing of her and Tatum Paxley.
Yeah. We get the debut of Mr. Naruku, defeating somebody who don't remember the last time I saw on main WWE TV, and that was Lince Dorado.
Oh, no way. Okay. Yeah. He's a producer now.
We got let's see. Tried to skip through some of the stuff that was like not big backstage segments. Natty was recording something for LFG filming, and Jada Parker interrupts. And so it looks like we're still building with that storyline. They even did a thing this past week? I think it was this past Thursday on Busted Open. Natty, that's the last hour of their live morning show on Thursdays. The heart attack or something like that.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, it's a very hard listen. That's usually when I turn the show off at that point. I only saw this because they posted it online. Jada Parker called into the show, interrupting her segment. So they're building this storyline on other mediums. So you get the chance to see some of this other stuff to stay up to date. Please do, because I think this is going to be something interesting. That Jada Parker, I do feel like Maddie had a point that she's gotten kind of soft recently, from that hard hitting Jada we saw in the beginning. That was with like OTM, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Till now. To where what they were doing, I think she also mirrored Lola Vice too much, so they just didn't want that. But now they need to get her back to that. We had the Birthright defeating Tate Wilder, EK Prosper, and Sean Legacy. The Birthright, I'm digging it right now. Even though it's a bigger group and not counting what's it? Why am I blanking on his name? Ariana Grace's fiance, Stax Lorenzo, who's the only person who's not a second generation or whatever.
Right.
I'm really liking the storyline that they have with these guys, putting them together. It gives me a lot of almost Evolution style, because when you looked at that, Triple H wasn't necessarily a second generation, neither was Flair or whatever. Randy was, and you can see that group was put together to build him and Batista simultaneously. And boy, did that group really do that. Just like if we look back in the history of wrestling stables, right, or groups. How many can you say turned around and all were world champion, either before or just a group thing, I just think back. Bret Hart was the only champion of the Hart Foundation.
Yeah.
He
Four Horsemen.
No, Flair. But I want to say, was it totally world champion at some point?
I think so.
But the Horsemen, it's really weird when if we're going to talk about the Horsemen.
Because there were a lot of changing members.
Lex Luger was a member of the Horsemen at one point. Other members came and went. That went through generational changes.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, I would love to see a group that would be like that. Something going
I got
forward.
one. Main Event Mafia.
They don't count. That was a group formed of all current and former world champions. But I will say this. No. But the building up of somebody applies, and that was Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Because Samoa Joe was the youngest member of that group, I want to say.
Yeah.
Who had just been a world champion.
Right at the time that they got together.
But you can say every member of Evolution was a world champion. Ric Flair was kind of the manager of the group, more or less, who still wrestled. To where Triple H was world champion during the run of Evolution. And then Randy Orton eventually won the title. Or Batista won the title first, right? It was Randy Orton, because that's when they did the thumbs down moment. And they took him out. Okay. And then eventually it was Batista, and then Batista won it next. The Shield. Hell, we saw that title change hands between all three of those guys in one night on WWE.
Almost New Day.
Almost New Day. I know, man. I know.
I would love to have seen at some point Xavier get a world championship run.
I had a friend who passed away years ago, and from when he was a big wrestling fan, and when Kofi debuted, and just the vignettes when he was doing the Jamaican gimmick and the ECW that WWE did. we were behind it, and his Facebook page is still up and everything. And I remember that run for Kofi. I posted on there like, dude, you would be going nuts right now, just with the thought of Kofi possibly winning the title. Rest in peace, my brother. Always thinking of you. Other things from Mason Rook, which I'm going to have to start sending these videos. There's a school, Pursuit Pro Wrestling. Look up some of their videos, like their reels on like Instagram or Facebook, maybe even TikTok if you're on there. Anybody watching, because you can really see what this kid can do. And a lot of them are just training videos of doing moves, but you just see what he's able to do, and you're just like, oh wow. Like, picture Vader if he was doing Steiner's type moves.
Got
Like
you.
Scott Steiner type, like young, like when they were a tag team, like the Steiner screwdriver type move and stuff like that. Like, this kid is very talented. And he's super young. And if they have him just debuting in NXT and not going through Evolve, that's a big step forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's put in time on the indies. He's,
But
he's been around for a little bit.
He's super young though. Like, he's been around,
yeah.
but he's super young. But I'm looking forward to what he's capable of. Because that one of the moves I see was like kind of like a Steiner screwdriver style move. But wow, the way he was just tossing dude up and catching him into the sit down pile driver. And it was like the Owen Hart sit down pile driver.
Okay.
Like that sit down tombstone type move.
Can't do that in WWE.
Not unless you're Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Noam Dar made his return this week. He lost to Jackson Drake. Afterwards, Dark State comes out. They get their rematch for the tag team titles that they never got. But hold on, I have to kind of go back at my. It's not the Osiris and
Saquon?
it's whoever
Butler.
Deion Lennox and Saquon are the ones having the tag title match.
Yeah.
Even
it's
though
not the same.
even though they're not the ones that beat Hank and Tank, but the other two guys turned around and was like, we're not doing the match. You are, because you guys need to get on the same page. We had a nice interview segment also with OTM, where it was like they were at this barbecue type thing. They've been doing these with this new interviewer chick they just signed, where she's like going on location and interviewing some of these talents. I really like it. I hope there's something they continue doing. We're having some friction with Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne as well, our North American champion. Let's see. Yeah, Tate Wilder, we see looking for an opponent for next week, even though he took the pinfall loss in their 6-man tag. Keanu Carver appeared, so it looks like it's leaning toward Keanu Carver having a match with Tate Wilder. I'm kind of impressed, even in losses, with a lot of these Evolve call-ups to NXT. The future looks bright. It's just, can they be booked properly? Because I feel like WWE's going back to that moment where I don't need to have my eyes on the TV anymore, even with taking notes. And I don't like that because I haven't felt like that since COVID.
Yeah.
Like, once AEW picked up steam during COVID, they picked up steam still. Let's see. We have a backstage interview with Callie Armstrong, which I'm impressed with her. I'm just not impressed with her finish. A shoulder block or a shoulder tackle is not a finishing move. I don't care how well you do it. If you agree. Oh, somebody has a beer. What's that, number 3?
Yeah.
I drank a beer.
And that's all I have left.
I drank another beer. 3 beers.
That's all I had left unless I want to get into review beers. Which I
Up.
don't.
That's a 3 count. I didn't know BJ Drinks Beer was making a cameo this week.
He shows up every now and then.
Yeah, and then we get a match with Kalani Jordan defeating Kendall Gray. They had a really good match, too. After the match, Izzy, Dame, and Lola were fighting during the match outside the ring. And then after the match, there was a moment with Ren St. Clair where she kind of got hit. And she's on crutches because she's injured at the moment. And Kendall and Lola are arguing because of it happening. And Izzy took the moment to sneak attack Lola, putting her down. So that was NXT. But real quick now, some Dynamite talk here. Because Dynamite, another solid show this week, in all honesty. Show kicked off with an MJF interview, not a segment, an interview. See? Why not kick off Raw or SmackDown if you're going to do something in ring with an interview? Remember when Vince McMahon used to kick off the show or JR and bring out the champion or something?
Oh, yeah.
But this was funny. So this is all leading toward MJF signing the contract for his match with Darby. And they're talking about him putting his hair on the line. And he makes comments about being bald and ugly. Now, I love this. He's walking through the garage area, going toward the locker rooms, and every single person you see him walk by is bald. And after that, our opening match was the Young Bucks, Copen Christian and Orange Cassidy defeating FTR, the Dogs, and Tommaso Ciampa. Was a fun 10-person tag team match.
Yeah, it was fun. Everybody got their stuff in.
Then after that, we get a segment with Will Ospreay training on the roof of some building with the Death Riders, which I'm not going to lie, I'm really liking this whole Will Ospreay Death Riders thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, something tells me he's going to turn on them and join the Ops, though. Or maybe just turn on them and just go solo.
Who? Ospreay?
Yeah.
Ospreay's not officially a member of the group. He said that last week.
I know, but even so, I have a feeling
he has said that, but he is training with them because he's missing something and he thinks he can get it from them. And you know what? If they're going to allow him to train with them, hey, I'm all for it because it's giving us Death Rider stories, something that we have very much lacked in. You know, something that we said, even though Mox and the resurgence of AEW, Moxley was the champion. So they were doing something right. I just wish there had been more to it.
Yeah.
After that segment, we get a backstage segment with the Demand and the new national champion, Mark Davis, who beat Jack Perry last week. Mark Davis, Andrade, and the Dogs will fill out the team for Spring Stampede with the Demand, which then makes it the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jack Perry, the Hurt Syndicate, and Chris Jericho on the other side. A 7-on-7 match. But if this Stadium Stampede, this is going to be all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that match is going to be nuts.
After that, Mike Bailey has a match. I didn't catch the person's name, so I just have question marks. I never got the chance to look back to see who it was. But it was a quick match. It wasn't anything special. Which didn't...
Enhancement talent.
Which didn't lag because Kevin Knight came out with him to the TNT Championship Open Challenge. And Kevin Knight defeats a returning Brian Cage. Which I'm not sure why you return somebody like Brian Cage to lose to Kevin Knight.
For real. Like, Brian Cage should be built up like the monster that he is, not like jobbed out.
Exactly. So there's two things I'm going to say for the end of talking about AEW, but they did announce in two separate segments the men's and women's Owen.
Right.
Well, I'll do that real quick. For the men's Owen, two of the matches in that tournament bracket will be taking place at Double or Nothing, I think, next weekend. Samoa Joe versus Will Ospreay, which the Ops has been offering Will Ospreay a spot
Right.
in the past couple weeks. So
And
that's
that's why I had mentioned that there's a possibility that Ops ditches. Why do I want to call him Blackpool Combat Club?
wow.
Death Rider. and ends up, joining Ops. But he could go on his own as well.
Yeah, well, we'll get more into that in a moment. The other two matches is Mark Davis versus Jack Perry, and then Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King in the first round of the men's. Out of all those, the two matches I'm really looking forward to: Joe and Ospreay, and Claudio and Brody.
Oh yeah, those two matches right there.
Swerve and Bandito's number 3, Davis and Perry 4. And that's because of Mark Davis, not Jack Perry.
Of course, right. Although Davis, man, he's a beast, but
I'm not impressed.
Yeah, like he has presence, but he's just too much of a brute in the ring. He's got no technique, no flair. Woo!
Now, the next thing we see is a backstage segment with Jack Perry. After that, we get to what was one of my favorite, probably my favorite match on Dynamite this week. Will Ospreay defeating Ace Austin.
Yeah, that was a really good match.
Which, interesting enough, Will Ospreay wins with an armbar in more than 17 seconds.
Most devastating hold in all of sports entertainment.
I thought that was the headlock takedown.
It's actually the roll up, but
I thought it was any move from Brett's rope.
no, that's a Simon Miller thing. The roll up being the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment.
But yeah, so after the match, the Ops come out. Why can I not think? It's Anthony Bowen, Samoa Joe, Shibata. There we go. Come out. Joe. Well, Joe again, kind of like the idea of offering him the spot. Ospreay's in the ring. He's like, unlike the Death Riders, though, I let my boys do what they want. Bowens and Shibata start making their way to the ring to attack him. Out comes the Death Riders surrounding the ring and making the save, stopping it from happening. A very interesting moment where you have Ospreay standing in the middle of the ring. Moxley's in the back part of the ring in front of the announce table on the apron. And he's looking back at him. Like, Ospreay's almost confused. Like, why are you coming out here and helping me?
Right.
What I would be more interested in this storyline is if Ospreay turned heel and took the Death Riders from Moxley.
Yeah, that would be definitely the shock value would be there.
Like, that would be very interesting. Maybe Marina sides with Mox and stays with him.
Right.
And then we get a backstage interview with Takeshita and Don Callis talking about the world title match in the main event. MJF appears, putting it over. And then he gives Don Callis his Dynamite Diamond ring. Like, hey, if things get out of hand, I think you know what to do with this. And then Andrade, and then he makes a comment about the whole being the hair thing. And then Andrade comes out and just is throwing his hair all over.
Yeah.
And then after that, we get the women's Owen reveal for the tournament. Willow Nightingale versus Alex Windsor. I think that one's happening at Double or Nothing. I made notes of the other ones, but I forgot to make a note of this one. Because one of these matches might be Mina and Athena. Persephone versus Hazuki, and then Sky Blue versus Saray. So, I think that's how you say her name.
Persephone.
No, Saray.
Trying to picture it.
Sareee.
Yeah, yeah.
Saree. But outside of Willow, no former I don't think anybody else has won this tournament. Willow going for that 2-time.
Yeah, you did say the brackets are smaller this year.
Yes, I want to say they've been 16-person brackets.
I feel like they have been. Tournaments lasted a lot longer in previous years.
Then we get a backstage interview with the conglomeration talking about what two are going to chase the tag team titles. And then we have Roderick Strong call out one of the singles champions that took it. Mox. It might have been Mox he called out. After that, we have a 6-women tag match. Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, and Jamie Hayter defeat the Triangle of Madness. Women's champion Tekla, Sky Blue, and wow.
What?
Sky Blue, Tekla, and I get wow.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Yeah, I hear you clicking.
And I'm going to feel fucking stupid.
It was
Julia Hart.
Yeah, okay. I knew, yeah.
Triangle Madness loses by DQ. They attack Statlander and Hayter after the match, but Hikaru Shida just leaves them there and just leaves while they're getting beat up. And they announced that Tekla is defending the title at Double or Nothing against Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, and Hikaru Shida. So, and a fatal 4-way against former champions. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match.
And then we get another video package for Roosh this week. So they're really hyping him up for something. And then after that, our main event. AEW Championship. Darby Allin retains against Takeshita.
Yeah.
But wow, what a match this was.
Yeah. These guys are just nuts.
Not just that, but even on, I know that Sammy Guevara was in a losing effort against Darby Allin on Collision this week as well. I saw some highlights of the match. And one of them being that Darby just collapsing during that match. It happened this week. He kind of just collapsed doing a sharpshooter. So are these open challenges and all these big guys he's taking on, is the wear and tear getting to him? As I have constantly stated, consistent open challenges are not a good idea for a champion to do.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, he looks like he's seeing the effects of, constant title defenses, and I don't think it looks good for him against MJF.
No, definitely not.
Especially with them playing up the whole bald thing.
But I want to see MJF bald.
Yeah, I'm sure like someone did it on AI. You could probably find it.
No, I really want to see it. But him and Takeshita put on a hell of a main event this week.
when there was that tag match with Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir and Orange Cassidy and I forget who else, and whoever takes the pinfall gets their head shaved.
Tony Storm.
That's who it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw a meme that was like all four of them, what they would look like with a shaved head. So I'm sure someone did it for MJF.
Oh, I'm pretty sure too.
In fact, I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah. After the match, Darby calls out MJF. They talk trash, contract gets signed, and MJF takes out Darby. I'm going to get that. I'm one of the people who thought that Darby should never be champion, but if this is leading toward MJF just getting the belt back, why did you put it on him now? Oh, for a moment, I thought that was Kurt Angle.
With Baron Corbin.
Man, oh man, oh man. Oh, I just looked at my TV just to glance up, and it was still up. Oh, that's great.
Oh, there's an even better one.
Ha! Oh, the Stone Cold one. That's great.
Yeah, I think he's gonna win though.
So do I. Barring any type of weird babyface outside interference.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is now that time of the show. Our match of the week.
That's the tough one.
For me, Will Ospreay and Ace Austin.
See, that's like what's really standing out right now, but then yeah, that's what I'm going with. Nothing else really matched that level of intensity. At least nothing else that I watched on TV.
Oh, now I will say I thought Gunther and Royce Keys was really good as well.
We should really start doing match of the week on our Tuesday show, by the way. I know we have at times.
Well, I feel like that would be more match of the night, but I get what you're getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, that Ace Austin Ospreay match was what you want out of a wrestling match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't forget to tune in this Tuesday, 6 p.m. for Indie Spotlight. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I have to actually message somebody about making sure there'll be a guest before I announce it this week. But keep an eye on socials for that. Also coming, we're going to have a lot of wrestling talk about the following Tuesday, though. Because there will be Ladies' Night at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy, presented by Kaiju Pro Wrestling and SPO.
Familiar with a couple of these ladies, not all of them. Seen a few before. But yeah, that's going to be a great show.
Yeah, June 14th, Sideshow Pro returning, Camp Carney at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy as well, as we will be there for. We are sponsors of this event. Thank you to
Sideshow sponsoring us.
Lots of exciting stuff happening with that.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun show. the last Sideshow show was just a great time.
And in this Tuesday, one of the things we'll be talking about, Viva la Bill!
Oh yeah,
Oh, what a show!
11 long matches for me to script out to describe to you.
You only get this kind of dedication right here. Let me tell you what.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's right. I'm doing it for Rick Lade. Sorry, that won't happen again. But yeah, 11 matches this week, and couple short ones, which I'm grateful for, because there was a lot that packed into like 2.5 hours. Great show though.
Yeah.
We're going to talk all about it.
And you can scan this QR code right now so that you can go to the SPO Wrestling YouTube page and watch this show. And then you can come back here Tuesday evening to see us and hear us talking all about it. Also, if you have Podbean, go check out the Indie Wrestling Experience, where I was a guest this past week talking about all things SPO, PWU, and Pro Wrestling Star Academy related. Also got to talk about our show here some.
Forgot to tell you, I actually listened to it. Excellent work. I actually started listening. I couldn't go all the way back because then there would just be stuff that was like, oh my God, I don't even remember when this was relevant. But
I know
went back
my
to
segment was about 40 minutes in.
Yeah, yeah. I went back to the beginning of this year and was just listening to like things that they were doing, and it was so funny hearing names of indie guys that like are local to them that they see that have made their way up to the Pro Wrestling Star Academy. Like they had mentioned Bobby Casale and a bunch of other people. It
Oh
was
yeah,
just,
yeah. They're very much acquainted with Phil Stamper as well.
Oh well, yeah, yeah, which you guys brought up when you were on.
Yep.
But yeah, excellent show. If you guys, I'm pretty sure I listened to them on Spotify. They're available.
That
But
was the
yeah,
link I got set was for Podbean.
okay, yeah. They're from a little further south of us, but
They're DC based.
they have
Definitely.
their territory, we have ours, and they do a great job covering their territory. I definitely recommend you guys give them a listen.
Yeah. There'll be more crossover between us. Either between myself or BJ, we will be regular correspondents for SPO, PWU stuff. It was very much fun. Those guys are great. So as BJ said, please go give them a listen and tell them that we sent you with a comment or
Absolutely.
something, just so they know how good of fans that we have, because they do rankings as well of a lot of the indie promotions. So definitely, if you're into indie wrestling, please go give them a listen.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm still like 2 episodes into their 2026 run, and so far I'm just really impressed with everything. I'm definitely going to get caught up to current day.
Yeah, it was really fun to do. Like before we even started recording and everything, we were just backstage talking about stuff like current, like wrestling stuff, mainstream and all that. We talked a little bit of football and stuff because when I found out they were based in DC, started talking about some of the sports stuff, But really good guys. I look forward to being back on there.
Are
And
they Commanders fans?
one is.
Okay.
But otherwise, some pretty good stuff coming down the plate for mainstream wrestling this week, at least match wise. We'll see everything else. I'm very curious to see how both world title pictures continue to grow. But real quick though, do you think Gunther is the one to end Cody's reign?
It would make a lot of sense. I hope so, but also looking at it logically, Cody's run needs to end sooner than later. Cody needs a whole character shift. Gunther would be the perfect person to beat him right now and hold that belt for a while. And yeah, I think it needs to happen.
Yeah. And the last time we saw them even have a match was last year at Crown Jewel for the Crown Jewel Championship.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's been overdone already. And I think, honestly, I hope Gunther wins because at least it creates a program for Cody going forward, chasing again. And you're opening up the door now for people to either get back in the title picture or new people to step up after Cody, because Cody's been champ pretty much for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Like
Except for a couple, like a month or two when McIntyre had it.
And then there was another loss. I wasn't there before that.
Yeah, I think he lost it twice. Yeah.
But either way, looking forward to see what's going on there. And then again, like we said, join us this Tuesday for Indie Spotlight. It's going to be a fun show. Also, don't forget our Raw after show Monday nights. We'll go live at 10:30, or if Raw runs past 10:30 or up till 10:30, we'll be live shortly after. Otherwise, I think we've covered everything for this week.
I'm sure as soon as we go off air, I'll remember like 3 things that like I meant to bring up. But yeah.
That's usually how it happens, right?
Yeah, yeah. But we have a mainstream show tomorrow night, so I'm sure I can just bring them up.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. Good solid show there.
Oh yeah.
There's just a lot of good and a lot of bad. And right now, I feel like WWE, it's not that it's getting stale. They're so stuck on course. They're not willing to divert course anymore.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't want to say that like a criticism of not the fact there were title changes on the road to WrestleMania, the fact that there were too many. You know,
right. Yeah. Like one or two, fine, but it got ridiculous.
And then everything afterwards, it just feels like, oh, we're taking this time just to go back down. Like, don't go back down. Like, let's continue building. Let's maintain. Let's mix up the status quo some. You know, I like the Obafemi Open Challenge thing because you don't know what you're going to get with that week to week.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't. You know what? I wouldn't mind for an Obafemi Open Challenge on Saturday night's main event as the 4th added match, because then we don't know who the other person's going to be.
Right. Yeah, I'd be all for it.
That seems like that would be. I could see that. Maybe nobody answers the challenge this week, so Saturday night's main event's one of those cases where both shows are on hand.
Nobody answers the challenge. Oba goes to the back, and it's just empty.
Everybody. Yes, there's something like that, you know. Maybe you play. I don't want them to do this, but it's WWE. You play to a point where maybe a special one-night appearance on SmackDown. Well, everybody on my show's not answering the challenge. Anybody here want to answer my challenge? You know, like right. He's just that desperate for competition because that's what this is. It's looking for competition. You know, and he got a taste of the top with Brock Lesnar. That was competition for him. Who can take him to that limit? Who can take him to that Tony D'Angelo limit? Stuff like that of people who actually were able to push him there. Him and Royce Keys at some point would be an amazing match.
Oh, yeah, but you got to remember, someone's got to go over and someone's got to take the L. So you don't want to pull the trigger on that too soon, especially with Keys just taking a big L.
I would hope that whatever that L is, it's on a big stage. Or if it's on TV, they make it look like it was a fluke almost. So, because now that's a feud. Now you have at least a short-term feud to go there where Oba just destroys that person afterwards, you know.
Right.
A lot like of what should have happened to Jeff Hardy when he pinned Karrion Kross. You know, that's what should have
I had to bring
happened.
that up.
But I think it is time for us to go. I feel like there's something else I could be doing at the moment. I don't know what, but I could
Watching
be
wrestling.
doing it. Yeah, I could be doing that. I feel like I always watch wrestling. My life revolves a lot around pro wrestling now, whether it's
Well, also, I think next week we're up against AEW.
I think their show starts at 8.
Oh, great. Okay.
But
Oh,
we
so
can
it's going to
always,
be on until 6 in the morning?
if it's on to 6 in the morning, I immediately after the show, I am sending a strongly worded email to one Tony Khan. All right. That's exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, man, good show today. I didn't expect to run down each show segment by segment, but here we are. Good thing we're not on time constraints at the moment. One of these days we're just going to have to do the hard out. No outro video. I just see it hit the thing, pulling NXT in the middle, talking just hard out.
We'll have the credits come up. It's just.
Oh, no. Not even credits, just the hard out.
Fade to black.